our speaker of the hour, Dorothea Bozi-Colonna Volpe. She is a strategic digital marketing executive who is fluent in not one, not two, but 4 languages. And she specializes in developing business for international brands, i.e. Fortune 500, via initiating and integrating social media, digital strategies, and enterprise social networks. Now, in her career, she has built strategic partnerships and implemented marketing technologies across the board. Dorothea teaches marketers and business leaders how to measure, optimize, and build new media efforts to increase value and develop strong relationships across brands and fans. Now, Dorothea is an avid skateboarder. Can you believe that? So, are you guys ready for our speaker? Yes. Yeah. All right, I present to you Miss Dorothea.
Thank you so much, M. Cole. The mic didn't work earlier, so we were all very frantically running about. So I'm going to be speaking rather loudly, and luckily my voice, I think, somewhat carries. I do want to thank the team at Cavello for hosting me. A lot of you may not know their brand. They're brand new to the scene, but they've got a really stellar client list. And what I will say is that they're really about collaborative growth. What they do is they empower, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a large brand, whether you are somebody who's an inventor, and they help bring your ideas to light. You know, they do have a stellar client list, but they also work with entrepreneurs. This is what we're going to be covering today, just in brief. I'm here to tell you that communication has changed. Everything about you, every channel that you use, whether it's a social media channel, whether you're sending an email out to somebody in business, right? Or you're posting something to a social media channel, or you're involved in a LinkedIn group, or leaving even your outgoing greeting on your phone. Don't you hate when you get that, hi, you've reached 404, you don't even know if you've reached the right person. You ever get really flustered and you're really rushed one day and you have to leave a message on somebody's, voicemail, and it's so completely discombobulated and you think to yourself, oh, man, why did I leave that, right? It's completely incoherent. What I'll say is that everything that you do today, okay, can not only be researched and tracked, but it's actually a reflection of who you are. Many of you have a presence on a social network, right? Raise your hand if you're on LinkedIn. Boy, I love seeing that. Reid Hoffman is somewhere right now smiling upon all of us. Twitter? Kind of looks like the numbers that I think. Facebook? Wow, those numbers always go through the roof. How about all those lovely baby pictures? Don't you love those? Those people irritate me. How many of you are on Quora? That's usually the thing that kind of separates the men from the boys. Okay. So even though you have all of these presences, right, and they're a reflection of who you are, okay, they may not necessarily be who you are here. Okay? You have a CV, you have a digital presence, but people can't really see inside you, right? So we're going to actually kind of talk a little bit about that. But first, let's talk about why it matters. Paula Deen. Paula. Boy, she really looks like she's having quite a day there, isn't she? Here's Paula Deen. Now, we all remember her as a celebrity chef, don't we? Right? So Paula Deen and her communication actually caused her to lose her reputation as a celebrity chef. Boy, I'd love to talk to her PR person. They need work. Shia LaBeouf. He's good looking too, right? He's kind of cute, like nobody you throw out of bed for eating crackers. Shia LaBeouf, right, now has decided to leave public life amid a plagiarism scandal. Your digital life will follow you. So will your professional life. Take heed. So we all, each one of us, have natural abilities. Something that only you are blessed with. Unique qualities that are the things that actually you have within you that no one else has. And they actually allow you, in the big universe that is the global landscape, to stand out. Somebody once told me you have to stand out in order to be outstanding. I want to talk a little bit about what a brand is, and then walk you through what personal branding is, right? So a brand is a reflection of the relationship an organization has with its customers, embodying that which an organization is committed to and stands for. And we'll give you a couple of statistics. On average, the average North American citizen sees about 4,000 brand images or messages a day. It's easy to get lost, right? Can you imagine what that's like for your own personal brand? Across all categories, the average shopper will spend up to 14% more for a product that they know, right? That they know that they're loyal to. I always use the example of you go to Target, whatever you want to prefer to call it, and you look at the paper towel aisle, right? And there's Brawny, right? And then there's a Target brand. People go to Brawny. Why? Because it's stronger. They have a relationship with that brand. And believe it or not, they spend up to 14% more because they know that brand. Coca-Cola, and I love picking on them because I've worked for them. Coca-Cola spends almost, literally their market value is 50%, is estimated to be worth almost 50% of the company's total revenue. So that when you're thirsty, right, at arm's length, hi David, how are you, darling? Good to see you, is some sort of Coca-Cola product. Water, tea, I mean, why do you think they diversified? Not everybody likes drinking, you know, sugar water. So what are brands? Brands are distinctive. They stand for something. They actually have a point of view. They are relevant. What they stand for connects to what someone else considers to be important to them. And lastly, they're consistent. Personal branding is for some people a description of the process whereby people and their careers are marked as brands. Where's Ricky Steele? There he is. Boy, if you don't have his book on networking, I strongly recommend it. He's one of the strongest personal brands in this room. The branding concept suggests instead that success comes from self-packaging, the creation of an asset that pertains to a particular person or individual. This includes, but it's not limited to, the body, the clothing. How frequently have you walked down the street and looked at somebody and immediately saw their countenance and said, oh, she's having a bad day, right? Everything about us is judged, everything. If you think I'm wrong, why do you think there are all those beauty pageants? So personal branding really is nothing new. It was originally introduced to society in 1981 in a book called Positioning, The Battle for Your Mind. Two gentlemen wrote it, Al Reyes and a guy named Jack Trout Moore. And specifically in chapter 23, they talked about positioning yourself in your career and how you can benefit by using positioning strategy to advance your own career and your own personal brand. Your personal brand is a perception or emotion maintained by somebody other than you that describes the total experience of having a relationship with you. Personal branding is a combination of what we're committed to, what we stand for, and how we present all of that to the outside world. Your digital footprint, your sociotechnograph, all of that counts. Everything that you do across the interwebs. So, I have a theory that people can't really see inside of us. The recognition of our beliefs, our abilities, what we stand for, what our morals are, right? The perception that they form from observing our day-to-day actions at the office, when we belong to an association, when we go to a luncheon. So it's through those actions, actually, that we build our own personal brand. So I ask you, before we move on, think about this. What is the consistent message you send them? And I want to talk a little bit about this guy. A lot of you might know what an elevator pitch is, yes? The etymology of the word, okay? Do you know the etymology, really where it comes from? I see nobody raising hands, so I'm going to go ahead and school you children. Years and years ago, in the movie industry, you know, the days of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and Paramount, right? This gentleman didn't retire until he was over 100, was a page, stayed there at Universal. I had the luck of actually meeting him, so I love this picture. What you would do is that you jump on that elevator, right? And you would say, well, Mr. Mayer, you know, I'm working as a page now, but I'm really a scriptwriter. And I love directing. And that's really where my passion is, right? That's where elevator pitch came from. In personal branding, I believe that there's something called a reverse elevator pitch. You've been in a room, you've worked with a group of people, you're in a corporation, right? What do they say when you leave the room? I'm going to give you a couple of case studies, and I have a bonus case study that's so fabulous. I'm so excited. Sorry, I'm having a fangasm. And I'm done. Okay. So, very quickly, who is this? Raise a hand. Who is this? Who do you think this is? Raise your hand. And don't say, oh, that's my dad. No, okay. Sorry. I know who this is. Raise your hand and stand up. Hello, Stephanie. You want to say your name?
I'm Stephanie Reaper. Stephen King, maybe?
Sorry. No cookie for you. You ready? You ready? Here it comes. Sir Richard Charles Nicholas Branson, born July 18, 1950, is a British business magnate and investor. He is best known as the founder and chairman of the Virgin Group, a company that has over 400 companies under its umbrella. He attended the Stowe School until the age of 16, when he dropped out. Branson had terrible dyslexia and actually had poor academic performance as a student, but later discovered his ability to connect with people, right? And this is how he did it. His first business he started at 16. It was called Student Magazine. He decided in 1970 that there were really hot records that were being played, the Stones, the Beatles, that kind of thing. I could sell them through my magazine. And actually I could do it for a discount and save money because people were shopping the high streets in W.H. Smith, where they were paying double because a lot of these records were imported. Well, that's how basically Virgin Megastore started. The label itself took on some amazing talent, people that other people were afraid to sign, like Faust and Can and the Sex Pistols and Culture Club. I know you miss me, I know you miss me. Doesn't ring a bell? Okay, I've just aged myself 20 years. Right, so Branson is the 4th richest citizen in the United Kingdom, according to Forbes. He's worth $5 billion. Isn't that amazing? All from a 16-year-old dropout. Wow. Now let's talk a little bit about Mr. Branson and where he spends his time. Before I do want to kind of chat with you about the fact that as he was building his brand, he knew that he had to create loyalty. Loyalty for his magazine, loyalty for his record stores that he ultimately sold and then leveraged to buy what we now know as Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Air, Virgin Galactic, right? Richard understood early on that he had to connect with his customers. He had to do it in an authentic way. He had to create loyalty for his stores, his airlines, and ultimately himself. And this is how he's done it. So, Richard is an author. He also has a very striking and amazing presence on Facebook. He has a really jazzy blog and a G+ presence. And I love his Instagram. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you should. This guy gets to see things that I may never, and they're absolutely beautiful. And believe it or not, a lot of the photos that you see there, he shot himself. And of course, he's an influencer on LinkedIn. This was done about a week ago. He's got almost 3 million now following him. And then on Twitter, which by the way, this guy is really great about really integrating what he does across the social media channels in one place. Twitter's really great. He's got the highest following there. It's almost 3.5 million now. And I think the thing that really makes it great is that what he does is he doesn't make these blog posts about himself. He actually makes it about his employees and what his companies are doing and his foundation and the entrepreneurs that he's helping. Now, this is something that's really interesting. I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I have the video. He's so comfortable in his brand that he recently lost a bet. And the bet was that he would actually dress in drag and jump on an Asia Air Atlantic. Asia Air is his new airline. Because he lost this bet, he was raising money for charity. And he decided to, because he lost the bet, stick with it. Allow me to introduce you to Lady Branson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you AirAsia's newest crew, Sir Richard Branson.
In case you're wondering, that's the guy he lost the bet to.
Delightful working with all the cabin crew, and I just want to say thank you very much for flying AirAsia X, and we hope to see you back again soon. I don't think I'm going to be allowed to come back on the plane, but it's been great fun. Thanks very much.
I love this person because she's a client. So let's talk a little bit about @DeliciousAlex on Twitter, or Alex Jameson. She was married to Morgan Spurlock. Anybody know Morgan from Super Size Me? Everybody's nodding, yeah. We all watched that one. I think I gave up McDonald's after I saw that one, yeah. So she's a natural foods chef. She was a vegan chef, actually, from Super Size Me. She's an author, a speaker, a TV personality. She's also appeared in a television show that Spurlock did called 30 Days, in which the couple lived together for 30 days on minimum wage. She's appeared on television shows like Oprah, The Final Word, and the National Health Test with Bryant Gumbel. And then recently, they got divorced. Allow me to provide you with a little more background on Alex, because she's a real powerhouse. She graduated from New York City's Natural Gourmet Cookery School, began cooking professionally in Milan, Italy. She expanded her skills creating regional vegan macrobiotic and seasonal organic menus. She worked with clients who required very special diets, people who were having issues due to cancer, diabetes, blood pressure, infertility, and food allergies. She moved back to New York City in 2001, worked as a pastry chef at an upscale organic restaurant, and then worked as the vegetarian chef for Paul Newman's Hole in the Wall gang, cooking food for children with life-threatening illnesses. I'll tell you the interesting thing about Alex. Talk about a comeback kid. She was originally vegan. And then recently, she announced that she was no longer a vegan. And I don't know if you have any friends that are vegan. Whew, those bitches can be nasty. I think they need a little meat in their diet. Anyway, Jameson admitted she'd been craving and eating animal products on Jonathan Field's show and received a lot of flack for it, right? But she was being honest. And she said that, you know, I've always felt guilty because I wanted to try a little snippet of meat or a piece of cheese. But she was passionately devoted to helping as many people create and have a plan for ultimate health as she could. So she now supports anyone and everyone as an omnivore, and those who choose to follow a vegan or vegetarian diet. The thing that makes her so interesting in the vegan community is that she's an author. She wrote The Great American Detox Diet and both Dummies books for living vegan and vegan cooking. Alex is really amazing. She's taken what was Healthy Chef Alex and created Delicious Alex. This is her web presence. And as I said before, she's quite well publicized. The thing I think that makes her very unique is that here's somebody who had a brand that was going in one direction, right? Okay? And then she admitted to her audiences that she's like them. She likes to eat meat and cheese and have milkshakes and all that kind of thing, right? But she really wanted them to know that they wanted to do it wisely, right? How to do it wisely. So this is her web presence where you can learn about her programs. She's got a great Facebook following, and she's very avid about putting in other and integrating other content from her YouTube, her Twitter, her blog, and she actually engages with a lot of her fans here. She also has quite the following on Twitter. One thing that's very interesting about Alex is she recently lost her mother, Annabeth, to cancer. And I had the opportunity to meet Annabeth last year at the World Domination Summit, a bloggers conference in Oregon, where she's from. And Annabeth was amazing. Back in the 60s and 70s, this was a woman who created organic gardening and organic cooking. When people were like, oh, that's some crazy hippie stuff. No, that was her mom. Her mom was amazing. You'll note that the thing that's so great about Alex is that when she was healing from her divorce, and most recently from the death of a mother, she now, and I love this about her, she puts up different types of healing recipes, right? She actually brings you on her journey. Remember what I said before? People can't see what's inside you. You got to open up. You got to share with them. And I'll tell you something that's really unique about this. Each and every one of her posts on her blog has some directions, but it also kind of gives you a life story that goes with it. She lost Annabeth, so this whole week I've been seeing these amazing recipes for foods that will help you heal, both internally as well as your mind, right? So what I'll say is that the other thing that I quite like is that she uses other social media and digital channels and integrates them into her life, right? So here's her digital life. She's sharing this recipe. She's sharing the loss of her mother as well as how to make it. I don't know about you, but I'm not much of a baker. And I like to have a recipe to follow, right? But it's even more cool when somebody's sitting there following along with me, right? And giving me the story behind it. This is my bonus. I love this one. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Jenna Jameson. Anybody know who Jenna is? And all the men raise their hand. Oh, Jenna, Jenna, Jenna. Wow, there's a reason why she's my, my favorite and my bonus case study for this evening. Because a personal brand means absolutely nothing if you don't build a community around it. You don't have a community, you don't have a brand. Okay? Whether it's the clique you hang out with at work, the association that you belong to, the business association, right? The LinkedIn groups you belong to. You are nothing without your community. Own your name. The lovely Turek earlier, right? Did I say it right? He shared with us the most important thing that you can own in life, the thing you take from birth to death, is your name. Go to domain.com, go to GoDaddy, what have you, own your name. If there's something that's very specific to you in your industry, right? Maybe you're into style or fashion. Maybe that might be the beginning of Fashionista Dorothea. Oh, I like the sound of that. Number 2, be present. Boy, how many times you get told that? I had a guru once, a yoga guru, who said, Dorothea, you need to be present. I thought, you are crazy, but I'll try it, right? Be present. Every place that you think your audience may be, even if you're a small business, right? If you're a small business, you know that you need to have a space on Yelp, right? You also might want to have a presence on Google so that people can get to where you're at. And you know, one of the things I'll say about attending events, I mean online and offline. LinkedIn groups are great, and a lot of them have events, right? There might be an industry leader. Next one, and this is a really busy slide, sorry about that, but they're recording this. Listen, learn, and consume. Remember when you were a little kid, my nono Volpe, my grandfather Volpe used to have a thing, he used to say to us when we were little kids, you have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them accordingly, right? When you're using these channels, listen first. Spend a little time getting to know where you need to be, where you need to go, who those thought leaders are, the people you like, the people you don't like. Create lists. Be an avid observer and an avid consumer of information. Watch the heck out of some videos. How many of you ever tune into Upworthy? Do you know what Upworthy is? A few hands come up. Upworthy has built their entire platform on just watching videos and having somebody write a comment about it. They've gone from nothing as a startup to something. How many billion people now tune in to Upworthy every week? It's amazing. People use that for their news, like the way they use Twitter. So it's really important that you become a voracious reader and a video watcher. And then also use technologies. You know, there are bloggers to follow, and there's also RSS technologies. They got rid of Google Reader. I'm still crying about that. I use Feedly. But there are also blog aggregators. Alltop is really great. Guy Kawasaki is behind that brand. Regator, a local company, I like them as well. If you want to follow information, if I can give you a couple of tips, Google Alerts is great and it's free. You can put your name in it, you can put your industry, that maybe buzzwords or key phrases, and you can look at it every day and get a report that comes right to your inbox, right? Also, I wanted to give one more out actually if I could. I talked about Feedly, right? I think it's also really important that if you are going out and listening every day, social mention is really great and it's also free. Twitterlizer is wonderful because you can also put subject matter and people that you're following directly into it. It does limit and then it becomes a little bit expensive after that. So, you know, take a look and do some research on some technologies. But there are things out there that were created specifically for certain social media channels that actually can help you listen and learn about your industry. So that when you are ready to join the conversation, you're informed, you're empowered, right? People say to me, oh, I want a social media marketing. I want a strategy. I want to, you know what? It's like having a baby. Anybody in here have children? Wow, I'm not really talking to that crowd. Okay, it's kind of like having a house. Anybody here have a house? Okay. When you build something, okay, you have to constantly feed it. You have to feed it, you have to feed it, you have to feed it, you have to feed it. Anybody here garden? That might be a better thing. Gardening? Okay, 3 people. And the cheese stands alone. All right. So, social media marketing is about content marketing. I'm about to use a Jason Falls comment. Jason, where are you? Somewhere in Kentucky drinking bourbon. I'm going to channel you now. No one gives a shit about your content. He says that all the time. That's how he starts his conferences. Guess what? Content, queen. Context is king. If you don't have context for your audience, if you don't give them meat, something that they care about, remember, you got 4 seconds, people. What are they going to do? They're going to walk away. So it's very important that you create content with context. And let's talk a little bit about that. Start a blog or a podcast. Blogging and podcasting are great ways for your audiences to get to know you, right? And they're relatively inexpensive. Create and distribute a newsletter or an email. There's one young lady in this office, in this room, that has a wonderful lawyer community. And I love getting her emails. And she writes about her legal community. They're all called goddesses. Don't you love that? Oh, I want to be called a goddess. Also, social visual communication. I just taught, if you're all members, anybody here in the room is a member of TAG, I just taught a course on social visual communication. You're all kind of this look on your face like you're either constipated or you don't know what I'm talking about. So allow me to define that. Social visual communication is anything that uses your eyes for you to learn something. Vine, Instagram, Pinterest. You feeling me? People love images. They connect with them. What was it that Arthur Brisbane said, the famous journalist in 1911? Picture's worth 1,000 words. You can tell a whole story with a picture or a small short form video. Just ask anybody in the porn industry. So what I can say to you is that personal branding can pull your audience toward you, consuming your content while also simultaneously you are establishing your brand. You're also reinforcing your credibility as an expert in your field or a thought leader, right? You're creating a digital footprint. Lastly, number 5. Oh, I love this one as a strategist. This is my bread and butter. Lastly, have a strategy. None of these tactics work without a solid strategy. Think about this. Is your strategy to communicate? If your goal is to influence, promote, or sell, your strategy should be communication-based. You're going to want to attract attention, and to attract attention, you're going to need to know how to engage and directly message. This is where the strategy comes in. Your audiences and really focus on your audiences, get to know them, so that when you're messaging them in a targeted way. I always tell people that you may have followers on Twitter, but they follow you for a certain thing, right? You may have people who have friended you on Facebook, or they're, in some way, shape, or form following you on Facebook. They're doing that because of the information that you're giving them there. Okay? You may have people who are connected to you or have you in their circles on G+ or LinkedIn for business purposes. Totally different conversation. Don't brandscape. I need to trademark that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to trademark brandscaping. I hate it when people put the same information on each channel the same way. Can I get a vanilla? Thank you. So, to attract attention, you really do need to have a strategy. From the late Henry Kaiser, I love this quote. Live daringly, boldly and fearlessly. Taste the relish to be found in competition, in having put forth the best that's within you. And I'm going to provide you with one last bonus tactic. This one's my favorite. The whole point of being part of a community is that you're building your own. And it's very important that if you are retweeted, or a comment is placed on your blog, or somebody writes something that you posted on LinkedIn and they like it, you respond back. It's very important that you understand the whole idea behind personal branding is to build a community. You must be gracious.